Welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast.
And here's a sneak peek of what you'll find in this episode.
I found Perilous Choices by S.H. Juka in your Kindle library. Kindle Assistive Reader isn't supported here, but you can use the Assistive Reader feature in Kindle apps on iOS, Android, or Fire tablet.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. It's good to have you listeners with us this week. I'm your host, David Ward. We're going to be dealing with a couple of little nuggets today, nothing of really consequence. I was going to focus in on configuring via voice home modes, but I didn't find it the easiest process to do. Maybe you can try it and see if it works better for you. It's a little odd because they're kind of like routines, but it doesn't look like they put quite as much spit and polish into it. So anyway, we will be talking about a few other tangential points, a few things I found under accessibility settings in the app that I had never noticed before, and have some questions about, and one's just kind of generically interesting. And we're also going to talk about A-Lady Plus and uploading files again, and a little more details around that about exactly what you can and cannot upload, what may be nice to be able to upload. So yes, that's right, it's a wish list. Please, Amazon, listen to me. Can we upload this? So we'll be talking about a few of those, and I might just mention a few of my original plans and thoughts with home mode and what it was and it not working out for me. But anywho, we'll press on in the show. First, I'd like to welcome any new listeners to the show. Welcome to the show. My name is David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor and a general purpose IT trainer, and so it's good to have you with us here. This show has been on for 8 seasons. We're about to crest 400 episodes. We're a weekly show, so that's 52 episodes a year, and this episode is getting out a wee bit later in the week. But if you are a new listener and you're trying to triage a problem or get a familiarity with A-Lady Plus, by all means, go back and check out our back catalog. All sorts of scenarios, all sorts of media, games, home security, applications for seniors, caregivers, children. You will find it in our back catalog. And in particular, if you're interested in A-Lady Plus, we know that's coming to Canada and Britain in a limited rollout. You can go to our YouTube channel. Easiest way to get there is certdoctor.com/YouTube. And if you go there, it'll forward you over to the proper YouTube channel because it's kind of buried in YouTube, way deep in there. And there's actually, I have a playlist set up with all sorts of all the AI goodness stuff that I've kind of covered. I mean, I'm sure some of the more recent things I probably haven't covered, but a lot of the back catalog of my first experiences are there. So by all means, go check that out. And it's an easy way to share it with friends or family if somebody's trying to solve a problem. We generally keep these shows somewhat nuggetized. I'd like to say 15 to 25 minutes. Generally, if we're going to go much beyond that, I call it an omnibus episode, and that's usually listed in the title. So if you do see omnibus episodes, especially in the AI category, those are kind of potentially really helpful because I wedge a whole bunch of information together about maybe an AI topic. Okay? All right, well, before we press on, we will have a brief transition, and then we'll delve into our show. All right, guys, so let's delve right into this. So you guys may recall that one of my first experiences with A-Lady Plus was almost accidentally uploading files, I think before there was even any documentation about it, through the app on my smartphone, on my iPhone, by just forwarding a document or a text file or a Word doc or a PDF over to the app, and then her being able to summarize it, triage it, change it into lyrics or something. Whatever you wanted to do with it, she could play with it. Now, since then, you can also have covered episodes where you can go to alady.com, alexa.com, and upload files there as well. And one of the cooler things that is super easy is forwarding emails to her, which she can not only read the emails, but attachments, that being files that perhaps you had, she can triage that as well. And you may recall a past episode where I even have triaged 200-page PDF documents and things like that. Just really awesome stuff. I can't tell you how much time some of that stuff saved me. Well, in all of that, I mostly up until then have hypothesized as to what files you could or could not upload. I didn't notice that I was getting back errors from her at times where she said she couldn't process certain types of files, and she gave me a nice succinct list of what she could process. So the list of files she can process are these. PNG files, so these would be file extensions. Obviously, they have their own formatting rules and stuff that apply to them, but the PNG files are an image file, very commonly used on the web. Here's a granddaddy of image files, a JPEG file, JPEG file. Those have been around for a million years. A docs file or a modern Word file, which is docx. That's been around for a long time. The granddaddy of the Word files, the one that came prior to that, was just a standard doc file or a .doc file. She can take those as well. She can take a different type of JPG with a different file extension, just a JPG, but I don't know if apart from that they're really different in any way except file extension. She can also take, this is one I had to look up, an ICS file, a .ics file, which apparently is like a calendar invitation style file or a calendar event file. So maybe in your workplace you get requests to join a meeting or something like that. You may be issued one of these ICS files. And if so, you could forward it to your A-lady and she can actually process that and potentially add that to your calendar or whatever. So that's kind of snazzy. I was unaware of that being, I guess I knew it was a thing. It's not a file format I often look at. We have a .txt file or a standard text file. I've often uploaded many of those. Those are super handy. And then we have a .pdf file. So that's the one I uploaded that was like 200 pages. So that's been around for a million years. So those are the list of files. So you may notice that some of the ones that I hypothesized you could do, you can't do. Like in that list, there was no spreadsheet files. Not even a primitive arcane.csv file. So Amazon, get on that. I know you guys can import CSV files. Come on. I mean, I know you can do that. And that doesn't cost anything. That would be fantastic. An Excel file would even be better. But then again, I understand there's a lot going on in Excel files anymore. I mean, I think you can put Python code and stuff in there. But that would be cool if an Excel file could be imported. But at least a CSV, guys. I mean, just for triaging information, that would be great. And what's the other thing I thought? Oh, I think a V card would be great. Wouldn't a V card? That's like a contact card that most, I think, Android and iPhones can all import, and you can exchange. Like if you do a share contact and you text that share contact to somebody, it's a V card format. So that would be awesome because I would not only like her to be able to read them. Actually, I find limited utility in her being able to read them, but if she could generate them, that would even be better. Like I get an email from so-and-so and I don't want to forget them or how to contact them or what their cell number is. I could just forward that email to her and then ask her to generate a V card, and then I could add that to my phone. That would be super, super handy, Amazon. But anyway, those are just the file formats we got for now. So I just wanted to let you know. I'd say let alone the text file, the docs file, and of course the PDFs are really, really priceless. The ability to triage some of that stuff and not having to pay extra $20 a month for an AI service like ChatGPT or Claude or something like that could be very useful. I mean, triaging that 200-page document I did was amazing. Okay, let's move on to something else I discovered in my research. I recently updated the A-Lady app and was digging around in settings just for you guys, see if there's anything that jumped out at me. And I did notice a category called accessibility. Now, I've done a number of episodes on accessibility tools on the A-Lady in the past. Please, by all means, go back and check those out. Or if you have thoughts or questions at the end of the show, I'd love to hear that feedback. It is nice to have this category where you can just kind of triage down through a whole list of things connected with vision impairments, hearing impairments, speech impediments or limitations, all sorts of different things listed down through there. That you have different switches you can turn features on or off. I'm not going to cover any of those, but I did notice immediately two things that I didn't know what they were or what they do. This one I was able to learn something about, and it's the very first thing on the list, which is under accessibility. It says phone ID. What is phone ID? And I had it toggled on. So I had to hit the Learn More button there. And apparently what Phone ID is it's another layer of identification tools built into the A-Lady platform. So the earliest of this would have been voice printing or voice identification. So you train the A-Lady, this is what Dad's voice sounds like. This is what Mom's voice sounds like. This is what the kids' voices sound like. Now, the advantage of that voice printing and identification was Dad could walk up and say, "What's on my calendar?" And A-Lady would be intuitive enough to pull from Dad's calendar, not Mom's calendar. And conversely, when Mom asked for her calendar, it would be smart enough to ask for that. Now, they added to that or expanded that with the Echo Show line of devices using camera features. And there may have been some other nuances as well connected with people being detected in the room, but they would use the camera to identify you additively, along with your voice print, is that Dad or is that Mom or who is that? And do I know? And then when you ask for a calendar, it pulls up the right information. Now, this is additive to that. It's Phone ID. And apparently what it does is it uses your Bluetooth from your phone to do an identification kind of printing that you are in proximity to the A-Lady in your office. You know, I've gone into my office. There's an A-Lady there, an Echo on the table to help identify that I am present in the room along with my voice. I guess even if I didn't even say anything or it didn't see me in the camera view, if it was a show, it could still make that kind of that leap. Now, most cases, I think the calendar is the most simple way to understand that, but the more important thing I think it said in there is for notifications, which would probably be a good accessibility tool, because the original A-Lady would not make any kind of verbal tone, I don't think. It would just have a yellow light ringing it. I mean, I think mine makes a tone now, so I don't know if that's a feature I turned on somewhere or not, but the idea is that it'll go do a jingle, and then it'll say, there's a tornado. I say, hey, what's the notification about? She'll say, oh, there's a tornado watch in your area, or you had a package dropped off at the front door. So this Phone ID is part of the triage of that, the holy trinity of identifications here: the voice print, the facial print, or face IDing, and then this. Now, the first two are always stored on device, as far as I know. But anyway, this last one here. Now, I don't know if I'd shut it off and turned it back on, if it would require me to go through some sort of Bluetooth pairing mode to like fingerprint my phone or not. But it was already switched on, so I just left it on, guys. But if it's something that interests you and you don't want to miss important notifications, by all means, turn it on. So far, I haven't missed anything. Of course, I guess this was already on for me, so maybe it was contributing in a large way to me making sure I didn't miss that there was a tornado watch like a month or so ago. But anyway, there it is. Take it or leave it. Look at under accessibility. It is interesting that it's under accessibility. I don't entirely grasp why it's there exactly and not somewhere else, but there you go. That's where it's at. The other feature I noticed under accessibility that really left me scratching my head was read Kindle books with A-Lady's voice. So you guys may have recalled that I had problems with this once I switched over to A-Lady Plus. I did a whole episode about this. And in fact, let me ask the A-Lady here, turn her ears back on. Alexa, read my Kindle book.
I found Perilous Choices by S.H. Juka in your Kindle library. Kindle Assistive Reader isn't supported here, but you can use the Assistive Reader feature in Kindle apps on iOS, Android, or Fire tablet.
Okay, so let me shut her ears off. So you may recall that basically the Assistive Reader was defunct, and it looked like it wasn't coming back. It was gone. Because in the old A-Lady, she could read with her synthesized voice, read out a Kindle book to me, which was great if you couldn't find it in any kind of audio format. And if you're like me or others that I often work with, vision impaired, so that's a great way to process your books and stuff. But what's weird is here under this modern, up-to-date A-Lady app, under accessibility, you scroll down a few, there's a checkbox or an on-off switch that says, read Kindle with the A-Lady voice. And I had it toggled on. But still, nonetheless, as you just heard, it didn't read anything out to me. I toggled off and on a couple times just to make sure there wasn't something clued you with the settings. But so I don't know. Is this a vestigial feature that they just haven't pulled out of the app that's applicable to the old classic A-Lady? Or is this a glimpse into the future that they may bring the feature back? I don't know. If you'd like the latter, feel free to probably email accessibility@amazon.com and let them know. But it would be kind of nice if they brought the feature back. I don't think it probably hurts them any. But anyway, there is my 2 cents. All right, so today's episode originally was going to focus in on home modes, and I can even give you a little quick triage on that. Let me have her do that. Alexa, tell me about home modes.
Home modes are shortcuts to control your smart home devices. When you're leaving, away mode can arm your security system, turn on lights to look like you're home, and adjust your thermostat. Home mode sets everything up for when you return.
All right, so shut her ears off there. So, you guys may recall me talking about that earlier. It's kind of like routines, but are kind of already pre-flagged for three or four basic features. 1, you've left the house. 2, you've arrived back at the house. And 4, it's nighttime. It's beddy time, right? It's going to bed time. And basically, you can have a series of events triage for any one of those modes based on whenever you're going somewhere or doing something or coming back. So I think that's really an interesting feature. Theoretically, you're supposed to be able to do it verbally, and I had tried that before. I was going to do a whole episode about that for you guys. Didn't find it the easiest process. Not as easy as building a routine or a temporary routine. That is pretty off the hook awesome. Not perfect always, but awesome. This one doesn't, even though it's technically, I think, in the same category, and it's really just kind of doing the same thing with a different label, doesn't seem to work quite as well and seem to be very heavy on the security Ring video doorbell front. It's almost like the very first thing it asks you about whenever you try to configure, say, an away mode or I've come back home mode or a night mode. One of the very first things it tries to do. So, I don't know. I might play with that more. If you guys have experiences with configuring that using your voice, I'd love to hear whether you had more success than me. I tried to create a whole episode for you about it, but I ended up just like hitting my head against the desk here because it was like, it's not working. So, but if you do want to do it manually, you of course can. And the easy way to do that is going to your A-Lady app. Go to the menu button in the top left. That'll slide out your panel. Go to settings and then go to modes. And you may find mixed nomenclature used here. For example, there in the settings menu, it just says modes. But in other places I've seen in the menus, I think under like skills and stuff, where it's trying to advertise different features of the A-Lady, I think I probably saw home modes. And in fact, you saw me ask her about home modes. So I think that may be the new modern branding and they just haven't updated the settings interface or whatever. But anywho, that is that. Well, anyway, that'll wrap this show up. Love having you guys with me. Appreciate your listenership. You have thoughts or suggestions, I would love to hear them at ecotipspodcast@certdoctor.com. Feel free to follow me on social media and or share the shows. Tell a friend. But until next time, as always, we'll sign off by saying we thank you for listening.
Thank you for joining us on Echo Tips, now in its 8th season. David Ward's insights continue to illuminate the wonders of Alexa. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and live long and prosper.